welcome to Fake Deep Thinking, just a group of friends sitting down talking about the world. Today we have with us John.
What's up?
Doc.
Hey, what's good?
And myself, Eugene. So I actually want to start off the podcast doing a quick shout out. We got one of the best comments ever that you could hope for, honestly. John, do you want to do us the honor and read out? This is from Ethan Chan.
Hey, shout out Ethan. All right, youngins, keep doing your thing. Just found y'all subscribed, and I'm enjoying the content. One of the hallmarks of a good video podcast is when the audience not only listens, but wishes they could be part of the conversation. You guys managed to do that. Good to see young men with a voice that are thinking outside of the conservative or liberal boxes. If you guys ever do a Discord meetup for the show, this old head will be in line to participate because good conversation and debate is hard to come by nowadays. Keep it coming.
Man, that made my day when I read
I
that
love
comment.
I love you, Ethan. I love you. Thank you.
Bro, that was a dope
appreciate it
comment,
for
man.
sure.
That shit made my day.
Yeah. And real quick on the Discord thing. So, yeah, I actually was talking about the Discord thing because that's kind of what the Facebook page is for, you know, everyone to reach out. But
comment,
Facebook
isn't
not really doing it.
No, but also when you sign up for Discord, the intent when you're signing up, you're already committed to the act of interacting with the community because you're signing up for Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Facebook, you signed up for ulterior motives, and that's just a side thing. So
it'll help out, too, because, I mean, I'm not on Facebook that much. Neither is Doc, but I'm pretty sure
you
Doc
know
and
I don't
we're
use
always
Facebook.
on Discord.
I don't
So
use Facebook at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck Facebook.
Yeah, I kind of treat Facebook like an email address. I just go in there.
Old email address with too many messages.
Dude, I use it for videos, dog. Sometimes the videos are hilarious. It's not as good as Instagram, but the videos still. Okay, specifically, I guess because it knows my specific preference because of the algorithm, but anime clips.
Okay.
That's honestly what I use it for.
Can you send me an invite for the anime group because I can't find it? Can you send it to me?
I actually just use it to interact with the people I know and like DM each other, and that's it. But like I don't use other platforms for other things like that, so I just kind of still consolidate it to Facebook. I don't shop on it though. I do know a lot of people that do that though, and I find that I don't know, man. I don't know about the algorithm stuff, handling my money.
Nah,
Man.
feel you, dog.
Like it definitely works, and I know that I use Instagram to shop, which is the same thing because it's the same company, but it's just like for some reason I feel like Instagram's algorithm is a little bit more in tune than what the base platform does.
I don't know if that makes me feel better or.
I'm looking at one of the most toxic ass anyway.
All right, don't look at these videos. All right, thank you again, Ethan. Man, that was honestly.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was awesome.
For
Appreciate
real.
you, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Tons.
And then I want to do another shout out to Favone Johnson. So
That's a beautiful name.
I know.
Real player.
So he told us that BTS stands for Bang Tan Saenyeondan. I don't know if I said that right at all. Saenyeondan. It's Korean for bulletproof Boy Scouts, meaning to block out stereotypes, criticism, etc. that are aimed at adolescents like bullets. They also have an English extension which is beyond the scene, meaning not settling for the current reality and moving forward to achieve growth. Yeah, once I heard that, I was like, damn, that actually sounds like a dope name.
That's pretty dope.
Didn't know that. And we were sitting here making fun of it. Bang Tan Boys.
Oh, I did say that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we just heard the most outlandish shit. That fucking word.
Oh. My bad.
And then he said, Ollie literally married a cardboard cutout of Jimin. Goes to my point I was trying to make, like, what if he's just trying to steal his identity,
He wants
dog?
to be him.
Just wants to be him. That's what I
He
said.
gonna kidnap that boy and he's trying to replace him on tour. Watch.
Yeah, man. If Jimin ever disappears, we know who to look to.
He
Where
identifies
is he,
as
man?
Jimin.
Jimin, where's Jimin?
For real. He even goes to the places that band frequents or said they used to frequent in hopes of running into them. One of the members' moms has a restaurant, and he literally went there, sat in her restaurant, and kept asking her questions about the band and asking when they would show up. He isn't actually a fan. Their biggest message is love yourself, and he definitely hasn't been paying attention.
Oh my goodness.
That's pretty witty.
Fucking savage. He can't speak Korean, yet he teaches Korean online and has the nerve to correct native-speaking Koreans. He's made music videos about praising Korea,
Oh
yet
my
all the
God.
products in the video are Chinese and Japanese.
Oh my God. Hey, shout out to you, Flavon. Man.
Oh, that's right. I
you
forgot Korea
really,
does have a
oh
mandatory
my God.
military service.
Yes. Please go there and do that military service, my boy. I think it's 2 years. Or is it a year?
It's like 2 years as soon as you turn 18 or 17. I don't remember what year specifically.
I just know the Tottenham player. I'm not trying to butcher his name. Heung-min Son. He got to dodge it by winning the Asian Cup for soccer when South Korea won. He got excused from that work, but I think it was 2 years or 1 year he would have had to do. But he would have had to actually leave his whole soccer team for a year. So I don't think this guy Ollie's willing to do the same.
I wouldn't think so either. And then he had a comment which I replied back saying, "Don't let John see this." Well, John's about to see it.
Too late.
I've literally heard trans people saying that misgendering them is like calling a black person the N-word. What?
And proof continues to pile up on how. Never mind. We're not gonna speak on it. We just know my people gonna know. My boy Ethan knows.
All right. Appreciate y'all, Ethan Flavone, the comments. We appreciate them.
Get by. Please, this one is crazy. This topic is crazy.
All right, let's start off. All right, the video should be back. We have my camera. I guess the connection I have is not power enough to keep it charged for too long. My battery was too low, so it cut out. But we are good now. I got a fresh battery in there, and we're going to talk about the first topic. Biden administration signals that federal inmates on home detention will return to prison.
Come on back now.
So we're going to read a couple paragraphs and pretty much talk about what we think. The New York Times reported on Monday, citing officials, that President Joe Biden's legal team has determined that thousands of federal inmates who are currently on home detention will be returned to prison a month after the state of emergency for the pandemic ends. Nobody knows when that will be. Since April of 2020, nearly 5,000 inmates in federal prison have been transferred from prison to home detention as part of a state emergency established by the then Attorney General William Barr. The purpose of the initiative was to move more vulnerable inmates from the highly contagious prison environment to home. To be eligible, inmates had to meet certain security requirements, have good behavior in prison, and not pose a threat to society. Last paragraph, let's talk about it. This issue of returning inmates back to prison had been brewing for months. In October of 2020, I wrote that some assistant U.S. attorneys were nonchalantly tossing around the fact that those on home confinement were to return to eventually prison. After that, the story went live. Family Against Mandatory Minimums President Kevin Ring contacted me to say that his contacts in the White House said that there was no intention of ordering inmates to return to prison and that they would be allowed to serve the remaining time of their prison sentence on home detention. Then a few months after that, in January of 2021, just weeks before President Donald Trump's presidential term was drawing to an end, his legal team issued a memorandum opinion for the General Counsel Federal Bureau of Prisons on whether inmates would return to prison. There was outrage in the legal defense community, and it was almost a foregone conclusion that a more liberal-minded Joe Biden would certainly intervene. Until today, the Biden administration has remained silent on the issue. So they pretty much told him they can serve the rest of their sentence. Now they're telling him, nah,
come on back now, you hear?
Come on back.
We got beds, accommodations.
I just hear Trump during the debates when he's like, they don't come back. They don't come back. The smart ones, they don't come back. The ones that do, they're kind of, I hate to say it, Joe. I hate to say it, they're stupid.
Yo, he did fucking say that.
I have a question.
Gosh.
Have the prisons, are the prisons still being compensated for the prisoners the same way if they're on home detention or not?
To cut costs, I would assume no.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is, to me, then would be more of
Another reason
money
why,
save.
yeah.
It's a
move.
business thing, yeah.
Like, no, some of our revenue's gone. We need
that back.
We need that back.
Bodies. Sheesh.
Is that actually what they hint at? Is that what this article talks about? Or is it just
no, that's just my
breaking news
thinking because I just know like in Georgia jails, you know, I don't know about prisons per se, but in jails, a lot of them are privatized. And so like they get paid by the government per person per day. And so
if they're at home.
Exactly. So if you're home, I'm wondering if you still get paid, if the government's still paying them that way.
I wonder if they'll go back with reduced sentences, though. Like, there has to be something where it's just like, yo, I was at home and I was good. Like, does that reduce my sentence in prison when I go back? Like, what the hell? Like, because this is kind of like a show of trust, so I would hope that it does something for the inmates if they choose to go back.
Isn't that like if they show that they were good, isn't that like proof of some type of reform or some type of like, you know?
Yeah, I feel like if they make an appeal, it'd be a strong case.
They gotta appeal to the court of public opinion first. That's the main court right now. There's passing shit.
So I'm trying to see anything more in here, but I don't see anything specifically about the finance side of what it comes to the home versus in prison.
That's immediately what I thought about.
I mean, it makes sense because they do get government funding for the amount of prisoners, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or is that conspiracy?
No, they definitely do. Well, I know the private jails do. That's why I'm not sure if it's the same with.
We have this conversation though, so I guess let's kind of dive into it now. It gets a little, not necessarily contentious, not really controversial or a conspiracy either, but the issue I guess with privatized jails, the jail system.
I've always talked about that. Like that shit is stupid. Like there's no.
Because it's in the business model that wants prisoners.
Exactly. That's my whole point. You can't say something's for reform, but then the whole business model doesn't. The business doesn't grow if reform actually happens.
Mm-hmm.
The same with
it's obviously supposed to be a dying business.
Exactly.
If you're, I would say, good-natured, good-hearted.
If you're doing a good job, it's the same with pharmaceuticals. It's
how does it work though? Like, do they just find somebody who owns land and decides to build a prison complex on there, and then they just kind of go, "Hey, government, I'll kennel them," and then that's it? Like, and they just pay that guy?
I have no idea.
I mean,
I have no idea.
With the government side, I guess that's what they would do. They'd find someone with land and get them to, I guess, host the property for prison. Sure, but I think I was more issue with the privatized one, where it's a man who just owns a lot of property and he just builds a prison on it and decides to get in the prison business. That to me,
and then you're not even talking about commissary, where it's like I'm selling you 10 mayonnaise packets for $2. I'm selling you hot sauce. I'm selling you chips. I'm selling you noodles and all these shits that your family has to put money on your books for you to spend. So they're making money both ways. What I had the number, but it was off the in the jail in Gwinnett, off of mayonnaise packets alone. I think they made $1.something million that year.
I mean, I just found a headline right here that says, "How do private prisons make money?" And it says, private prisons are the big business in the USA. No country in the world has more people in prison than the United States, according to the World Prison Population List, 11th edition. There are few more than 10 million people in prisons worldwide in 2015. Even though the United States is just 4% of the world's population, its prisoners made up over 20% of the total. Nearly 2.3 million Americans adults in jail. The U.S. also has more detainees in private prisons than any other county in the world. The vast majority of inmates, about 91% in American prisons, are in public prisons, but 9% of American prisoners, 180,000 people, are in for-profit incarceration facilities for crimes ranging from making threats against public officials and drug possession to grand theft auto and multiple murders. So where's the money aspect of it? Private prisons took in about $80 billion a year before ICE started placing children in immigration detention at a rate of up to $775 a day. The truth is, we don't know how much private prisons were earning before 2020, and we may not know how much private prisons are actually earning for some time. But it's substantially over $80 billion a year, and the biggest profits aren't even from operating the prisons.
Let's go.
Building prisons on specs brings in big bucks. So a lot of private prison industries has been organized around the principle of if you build it, then they will come. Both small cities and large corporations have built private prisons before they had any contracts to house prisoners. Sometimes this build-on-spec approach has been spectacularly profitable. Sometimes it has been a financial disaster, but it does not require an ongoing commitment to operating the prison. In 1990, city leaders in Hilton, Oklahoma won an election approving a $38 million bond issue for building a private prison and other civic improvements. Wow. The city spent $28 million to build its 812-bed Great Plains Correctional Facility in 1998. At the height of the private prison boom, the city sold the prison for $43 million to Cornell Corrections for a $15 profit. Man, okay, so they make a lot of money. I guess they haven't really explained
this is just like the contract to build prisons and stuff like that. I don't know, like, how they sustain profits. The
prisoners.
stereotype I've always heard is that they basically just enslave the prison inmates and like work them for no cost.
I'm sure they get paid for, like, there's programs in there too where you can go walk dogs or go clean up and stuff like that. I'm sure the jails make money.
So
off
here we
that
go.
too.
The state of California spends an average of $65,000 per prisoner to maintain its 133,000 incarcerated. Wow.
It's a real thing that has not been. The most important thing they said here is that we don't know anything past 2020, and 2020 was
When it
last
comes
year.
to their actual like accuracy of these numbers to the revenue. Yep.
But
that's not wild that
said
went unchecked that long.
Go on, Doc.
An earlier paragraph said that the state of California bans private prisons, so that doesn't make any sense. So, no, it does make sense. The state of California spends that much. So
Yeah,
it's the actual state itself that does that, not a private.
Not a private business.
owner.
It's just insight on potentially like
What
the
a
money that
private
could
is
be
doing.
made in this.
That's wild. And I don't think it was mayonnaise packets. Actually, I think it was noodles, where they make 1.2 million.
Like, look
a
at this. So, for instance, the state of Alabama spends an average of $15,000 a year per incarcerated person to keep its 32,000 prisoners in custody. If a private corporation offers to take over the prison for less than $15,000 per year per prison, the state has incentive to privatize, so they can undercut what they pay, and clearly there wasn't much of an undercut, and they get all that business.
I mean, judging by this, I'd rather go to prison in California, bro. They spent $65,000 on me, whereas Alabama spent $15,000.
They got benefits.
My guy.
Yeah,
They got benefits over there.
So
Alabama going crazy.
If you plan on going to prison, you better make sure which state you're in. I'd rather go to this
it's
prison.
gonna be California. No wonder it's so fucking hard to go to jail in California, bro. They're about to
They
drop
take care of you.
$100K on you, bro.
Well, I don't know if I should say take care of you,
If
but
I go to
there's some
jail,
money
it's in
there.
Sweden.
This guy.
Boy, I'm trying to have TVs and chill in my own room.
Only place you'll risk the biscuits.
Risk it at all.
All right, we actually got, I guess, kind of, it was on subject, but into a topic I guess I wasn't planning to get into, which was the privatization.
This is interesting, dog.
Yep. Oh, I should have actually kept that up. Let's jump into.
Wait, question.
Do I really want to jump
So
into this
y'all
now?
think? Never mind. I guess it's just we'll see what Biden does. But the assumption would be that Biden would, because he's supposed to, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody assumed that Biden would. We'll just see. I guess wait and see.
Yeah, I guess let's
the
talk about this real
Beto.
quick. We already planned on talking about. Let's talk about this. A little more hate on Biden, I guess. Biden admin launches door-to-door push to vaccinate Americans, sparks major backlash. So he made a comment. Let's actually, instead of reading this, let's just watch the clip of him making the comment, and then let's react. So I think this is the I think full context, or it stops about the 30-second mark. I don't remember, but here we go. Oh my gosh.
I was like, that's not Biden, bro.
I had this preloaded too.
Doc?
This guy. All right, so let me do this. And here we go. Boom.
So please get vaccinated now.
Wait, run it back already.
It's
Already?
Because, that boy struggled with that vaccinated word.
All right, let me turn it down also.
He's vaccinated now.
So please get vaccinated now. It works. It's free. It's never been easier, and it's never been more important. Now we need to go to community by community, neighborhood by neighborhood, and oftentimes door to door, literally knocking on doors to get help to the remaining people protected from the virus.
All right, so that was that little thing. I think it was this one I meant to click, but either way, you got the gist of it. So
Somebody gonna get shot. Somebody gonna come to the door. Y'all heard about we talked about it. The girl who asked somebody to adjust their mask. He went to his car, came out, and shot her. People are that's not something.
I just feel like I'm not against the vaccine. If you want to get the vaccine, get it. I mean, Doc's got it. Like, I just don't.
Identify somebody who got it.
Like, maybe this might be extreme of me, but so this is how I see it. And let's talk about it. There's supposed to be a separation of church and state, right? Shouldn't there be a level of separation? I feel like that's a dramatic explanation, but like a separation of this when it comes to like them trying to influence a vaccine on the public. Like, I don't know. It's like,
Is there a separation of church and state though?
not really. That's why I feel like it was inappropriate, because there should be. I don't know. You got me there, but
It just seems things are often when things are forced. There's just always going to be an anti. This is just how things are. It's just how the world works.
because just like people, I would say so. Just like people had an issue with Trump and the Goya thing, even though he's not picking a specific pharmaceutical company to promote like which particular vaccine, but he's saying a vaccine period.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's like if people don't want to get it, they don't want to get it. People don't want you knocking on people's doors to do it. You probably should be knocking on people's doors. I don't know. I just, like I said, that's probably an extreme like comparison, but that's kind of how I see it. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it's a super like government shouldn't be doing this.
I also am not sure with. I mean, first off, he doesn't write his own speeches, but I'm not sure how much he meant it verbatim what he said, even though he said the word literally, knocking on doors. So it doesn't give much room for, for him to say like, oh, I didn't mean it like that, but I just meant like, your close loved ones and da 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 da. If this man really means just walk out your house, just start knocking on your neighbor's door, see if they're vaccinated or not, and do what?
Like White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki also referred to the door-to-door effort while listing the 5 objectives of Biden's COVID response earlier in the day at Tuesday's briefing, citing targeted community door-to-door outreach to get remaining Americans vaccinated by ensuring that they have the information they need on how both safe and accessible the vaccine is. So, the little credence to this. So they already did it. As Wisconsin Public Radio noted, Milwaukee has already launched such a door-to-door vaccination check effort looking to improve upon Milwaukee County's numbers. There, 48.7% have received at least one COVID-19 vaccination dose, but in the 53206 zip code, which includes a greater concentration of the black residents.
Hey, I'm playing.
Only 28% of the people have received a dose. After about a week of efforts there, an additional 137 people have been vaccinated. 137 people. So far, and this is just one little zip code, not that effective. So one could argue this seems like a waste of money also.
What I'm hearing is that
we got to pay people to go door to door.
Have received at least but in the zip code, which goes 28%. So that zip code is not going to have a lot of zombies. When they all turn into zombies, that zip code is going to be pretty safe. That's what I'm thinking. I'm playing. But
yeah,
I don't know.
2 weeks out, bro.
I don't like it. I don't like anybody saying coming to my dude. When people come to my door, I believe in Jesus.
Don't come to my door.
I believe in Jesus. When them boys on them bikes come knocking on the door, they're like, "Hey, have you heard about Jesus,
our Lord and Savior?"
I have. That's what I tell them. I tell them I have. So keep it pushing because I don't want you at my door. So it's not even. I don't like Girl Scouts coming to my door.
Nah, dude, I gotta admit my hypocrisy there. I don't mind the Girl Scouts. I get excited when.
Let me catch you at the local Walmart with your table outside.
Facts.
I don't need you coming to my door. Target me next year.
Well, I don't go out like that, so that's another thing for me. That's why when I knock at the door, it's like, the one time I like seeing that on the camera.
What if we find out?
I could see them getting people, though. Like, some people just probably don't know how to get resources or, like, they don't know how to get to the vaccine. So, for instance, like, I signed up through the government, and I couldn't get, like, anything. I still haven't gotten an email back from the government. I ended up going to freaking HEB and just getting it in, like, a week. HEB had it when the government took forever to freaking get it. So them going out there and telling people like, hey, these are your resources. This is how you can get it when you're within your area. This actually might help some people get up off their butts to go and do it. And it's also like really weird that we are able to even have this conversation because you have like other countries like India that are begging for a vaccine because they live on top of each other and they're just suffocating under this virus. But we're over here like, I don't want you knocking on my door. Like, come on. Like, there's other people that want this thing more than we do, but we're just feeling we're in the luxury to have this argument, which is something you have to be considerate of.
I agree with that, but to instruct people is the problem for me, to go door to door. Like, if he has, like you said, this informational stuff going around, there's people passing out maybe pamphlets or whatever. You still may not want them coming to your door, but if you leave the pamphlet in the door, I may read it. You know what I'm saying? Or if you put the
That's what I feel
information.
they're gonna do. I don't think they're gonna force you. They're gonna.
That's why I said I don't know with
a gun.
That's why I said I don't know if he meant it how he said it. You get what I'm saying? Because they're not his words. Because I personally don't believe, even though it said it verbatim, that he really wants people to just walk out the house and just start knocking on doors. And you know what I'm saying? I think you probably meant more concerted efforts, more organized groups type thing. I would hope. And that's just me trying. But regardless, instructing people to go door to door, man, dude, carolers, like I could just name them. Like unless you got pizza or Chinese food.
Well, another reason why, like, I would argue the reason why I don't want them going door to door personally too is because they want to implement a level of the vaccine passport. Go to the vaccine passport thing. Now this is them a way making a checklist of who is vaccinated, not vaccinated. Like like if your name pops up, hey, we know you're not vaccinated. We know you don't have a vaccine passport, so you can't try like fraud, for example. That might be a dramatic take, but it's data. It's data. Like it's not only them trying to get outreach. Like technically speaking, to Doc's argument of people who aren't aware of where to go to get a vaccine, I would argue, and I don't have the numbers to back this up, but I would still argue that those would be the elderly community.
Yeah, I agree.
Granted, that is the community that really needs it, but in some of the other speeches I've seen Biden talk about vaccines, he's appealing to the young. He's not the youth. He's not appealing to the older people. He talks about how like children, it's just who his target audience is my issue, I guess.
And that's what I was saying.
If his target audience is the youth, then I feel like that doesn't make sense. We know how to use our phones. We know how to use the internet. Like, for example, like Doc, in his example, government's not pulling through. Where do I go? He found out HEB.
Facts.
The older community, granted, might not be more inclined to do that, but then and this might be wrong of me, but then, like, what percentage of that is the real issue then? Which is why, what if that's the reason why he's not targeting, why he is targeting the youth? Because they might already be vaccinated to a degree that it's them, and that's the community which they don't have a lot of data on.
I'm trying to tell you, bro.
Because at least with millennials, I don't know if this is just me personally, but, like, we're kind of a little more about, like, our personal privacy, space, personal space. There you go. So, like, some of us voters for the first time, they're starting to actually gather data on us now.
That's why you got to lie to the Girl Scouts when they ask your name. That's what I'm trying to tell you, Gene.
I don't know.
I think the Girl Scouts been working for them this whole time.
It's not just about outreach, man. They're trying to gather data, I think, and that could be my super. I mean, we get the conspiracy me, but like, why do you don't need to go around door to door? When you go around door to door, what you're confirming is who's vaccinated, who's not vaccinated.
I didn't think about it that way.
You could lie,
right?
They
are gathering data, but like, you can't. I don't think
is
you
all
can
data
avoid
bad data? Is
being data? Like there's so much data in every single thing you do. If you own a credit card, if you own a debit card, you're part of data. Like
you're not wrong, but I'm saying this is specific data they want. Obviously, I would argue they want this data. Specific reasons as to why they want this data, I don't know.
Well, if you lean on the positive side of it,
okay,
it's because they want to know how much of the population isn't vaccinated. So who
to do what
is
though?
To
get people
define
vaccinated.
Who's at a potential risk. Like they're trying to figure out how much of the population isn't vaccinated so that they can define like, okay, these people are at risk. If you think of it in the negative sense, then I think you're already having like the ulterior motive in your head where you're just like, so then what's in the vaccine?
So so it's not necessarily what's in the vaccine. It's okay. Let me explain, I guess, the sentiment. I think this was, it's a metaphor, and I think it's in some clips. The only one I can remember is Mr. Incredible, but the sentiment is, you're low key, you're trying to save me, but I don't need saving. So then the joke I would use to describe the sentiment is in the Mr. Incredible movie when the guy wanted to commit, self-harm. Mr. Incredible.
The Incredibles.
Yes.
Yeah, you said Mr. Incredible movie.
Mr. Incredibles, thank you.
You're such a misogynist, Gene.
This guy. And the Incredibles. And saved him. And he didn't want to be saved. And he sued him because he sued his ass. Like, that's a dramatic, but it's like, that's what it seems like to me. Like, you want to, probably there's a better example, but you want to save people, and some people don't feel like you need to save them. That's why, I don't know, it's just.
Well, what about the people that are scared? I mean, that's the whole point of like when religions do it. They go knocking door to door because they might find somebody who's genuinely.
I think I'm being really
People-
scared to
consistent
ask
here.
for
I
help.
don't
And
want
people
my door
don't
knocked
like it.
on.
Yeah, but I'm go back to that sentiment though. Like people just don't like it because why? It's invasive. I think that's the feeling for me at least. I don't know if other people would agree, but the reason why I just don't like it is because the energy around it for me is invasive. Just like I don't want people doing the religious thing with blah blah blah. John's saying even with the Girl Scout
I
cookies.
don't want the Girl Scouts.
Like I would argue the feeling is it's invasive. You're invading my space. You're on my property to sell me something at my door. You're in front of me now. You're forcing me to engage you in a way I didn't want to initially engage you.
Well, what about when like people come to ask you if you're signed up for voting?
Don't like that either.
Don't like it.
I remember they actually did that. My mom actually like she wasn't disrespectful, but she pretty much was like, "No, we don't know. Just no."
That's so interesting because I had the opposite reaction when they came to my door and they're like, "Hey, are you signed up for voting?" I was like, "Holy shit, dude! I haven't been able to find time to sign up." And he was like, "Dude, I can do it for you right now." And I was like, "Oh, okay, well then yeah, like I'll sign up right now. Like you got the paperwork and stuff." And he was like, "Yeah, just fill this stuff out. Here's your card. Go vote on the 15th and you're good." And I was like, "Fuck yeah." So I can imagine like if I actually want to get vaccinated and they go like, "Hey man, here's a form of all the places we have an opening on Tuesday." And I'll be like, "Oh shit, like I have been living my life doing all these other things that I completely forgot about it, but I needed to get this done." And they just they basically delivered it to my door.
Yeah, I feel you. So, but how do you guys feel if a person
Man,
comes
if they
with
were only passing out brochures, sure, but at that point they could just leave brochures on the door. You don't need to go door to door
Nah,
knocking.
they gonna come with the vaccine.
I mean, they're not gonna
They're gonna
they're
tell
not
you put your
gonna
pants
knock on the
down.
door.
They
you know,
said
with
door
like
to
a
door
needle.
knocking, bro. I mean, I don't know.
You're opening.
I'm not,
He's like squeezing a needle. He's like, "Come on."
no, I'm not saying they're
Show
gonna give
that
out
arm.
vaccines on the
You gonna
spot.
flick the needle right here. You
That's
been
like HIPAA
vaccinated yet?
violations right there, right? At a front
He's be
door
like, "What's
somewhere,
that?" You turn around. He's gonna jab you. Like,
Jab
gotcha.
you. I need your left butt cheek.
No, not something dramatic like that. Just, I don't
Oh,
know. I'd feel like they don't need to be going around door to door. Personally, I just don't like that. It just seems like
Speaking of
a little
dramatic.
much. All right.
Speaking of dramatic.
Yeah, I don't really know if we should get in this. I feel like we've already done a little bit too much political.
Speaking of
but this
dramatic.
could have helped me with.
Man dies.
Yeah, that is a good segue actually. I'm gonna do this next, so I got to get your
Okay,
reaction on
get me.
this. But
What's poppin'?
we'll do that next. No, because that was a
Okay.
good segue into the. So man slumps and dies after DNA test allegedly showed he's not his son's biological father. A young Nigerian man reportedly slumped and died after DNA test allegedly revealed he's not the biological father of his son.
Yippa.
I'm assuming this is the picture right here. According to a friend of the deceased who shared the heartbreaking story on Facebook, the man who was
Jesus.
based abroad discovered his wife was cheating on him with a younger lover after he stumbled on a Snapchat video. Following the discovery, he rushed to Nigeria and requested that a DNA test be carried on his supposed son. However, the test results revealed he's not the biological father of the little boy who he thought was his son all along. Damn. Shattered by the DNA test results, the man reportedly slumped and died. Heartbreaking DNA results end man's life. A young man has slumps and dies after reading results of DNA tests that showed the boy he thought was his son all the while did not belong to him. This was after he caught the wife cheating on him with the younger man through Snapchat video. Man, did he really die? I'm not trying to be mean.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, like
Dude, I'm trying to figure this out too, cause, son, I'll tell you what. Anytime Nigerians are involved, I'm Nigerian, so I feel like to say this. This might, I don't know if this is like I don't know how credible. Okay, let's approach it like it's real.
this gotta be fake. I'm sorry, bro. Like,
Right?
Not to take away if he really did die. Like, man, I feel bad then, but like,
isn't that a
bro,
little bit-
this seems like
but-
what?
Let me
Like,
ask you
remember
that.
That is
one
heartbreaking. Don't
But
get me
no,
wrong.
I know.
But
Rest in peace if he did die. But isn't that a little bit dramatic? Like in
Yeah,
itself.
dude, it's the most dramatic.
Like in itself, he was like, "Oh, you've killed me." Yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking of the. I really hope this guy didn't die.
Do
'cause
you
I'm
know how
about to
many
go in,
Nigerian
but-
memes are about people, Nigerians being dramatic? Like it's just within our nature. So it's literally like he said. Yeah, it's literally like he said, "Yeah, you've killed me. Don't worry, I'll die here just to shame you, just to shame you, this woman."
I'm in your mother.
You know that
Yeah,
one video
dude,
on
I'm trying to
YouTube where
tell
the guy
you.
gets shot like six
Six times,
He's
yes.
he's like screaming the entire time. That's what I'm imagining. Just ah.
Dude, I don't know, dude.
Sounds
If it's
breakdancing.
real, I apologize, but damn, that's wild. His heart broke. What is that? Is that like? I mean, would it be just stress? Too much stress? Heart attack? Stroke?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be intense stress and just
Yeah.
I don't know, man. His heart just stopped. And he was like, nah, check out. Dude, you remember that one episode that we did where we saw that guy basically watch his girlfriend like run away on him?
Oh yeah,
They
yeah.
did that like that YouTube like TV show where
He
a
went to go get
seducer
snacks.
like seduces her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what if this guy died on that show? Like,
That's
they
what
did
I'm
that to his
saying.
girlfriend, and he just fucking died on them, like, while they were filming.
Sorry, why is it my fault? I mean, it's not funny, but it's just so dramatic. Like, God, let me not go for it. You somebody else talk. It's just wild. Just could you imagine to be a bystander watching that? So he's not mine. Yay! You just grab his chest.
I wish they said how old. Like, is this bad to me? I don't know how old the kid is. They never said his age.
What made him get the test? Oh, he said after she got caught cheating.
Yeah, he saw a
Is
Snapchat video.
Is that an ambulance? What's going on in there? Is that just like?
No, this is just a video or an image, or maybe a video, but it's not showing it. But it looks like it's him in the ambulance. Maybe this is a fake death to get away from her and the kid.
Let's
You said
go there.
let's continue the dramatic. Let's continue the dramaticness.
I hope so. I hope he's just like, I need to find a way to restart.
Man.
Let's just do this over.
Aye. Yeah, that was.
I honestly wouldn't blame him.
Man, what?
Yeah, what was that joke?
Yeah, he
For
had
one
that.
of our friends.
Who?
If my son ever gets pregnant, we're going back to.
Oh, we're going back. We going back, but Jesus, I mean. Anyway, we won't. I don't speak on a woman or anything that I don't. You know what I'm saying? Not sure if the story's real or not.
All we know this happened. I don't know too much information because I feel bad.
I just saw it trending.
Man.
So I don't know. But a lot of fake shit and dumb shit trends too. So hey.
Yeah, we got two more dumb things. So let's get into it. I want to do this. I want to get.
Can I
John's
just say the
authentic
words?
reaction.
Okay, go ahead.
So we got a clip right here about the San Fransisco Gay Men's Choir is clapping back at conservatives with this fire satirical song. Clearly, it's a little biased, but I just want you to see.
What?
You fight against our rights. You say we all lead lives you can't respect. But you're just frightened. You think that we'll corrupt your kids if our agenda goes unchecked. Funny, just this once, you're correct. We'll convert your children.
Hey.
Happen bit by bit, quietly and subtly.
Hey.
You will barely notice.
Go for big bad thing. You hear me? Oh my God.
Make him wear pleated pants, we don't care.
Y'all don't own pleated pants.
We'll convert your children. We'll make them tolerant and fair.
Hold on. Gene, there's a minute and more left in the fucking video. First off,
Yeah, I'm
no
surprised as
way.
well.
First off,
It's a
did
joke.
Did they? No, but
They were joking.
No,
It was satirical.
But this is a trolling thing, obviously. But they're mad. They're getting trolled. Can you? The literal sentence says on, like, go back just maybe I don't know. Yeah, the choir.
Shortly after the video was posted on July, yeah.
No, not that part. Go back.
Okay.
There's actual. They use the word trolling. I needed that to be shown. Oh, no. It's after. That's after him. Boom.
It just says about the real.
Right there. Boom. But the real message went over their heads. So the real pause it. But the real message went over their heads. So basically, you want them to look through your trolling.
Okay.
No, but you want them to bypass your trolling and get the real message. But they said they were victims of online trolling.
Mm-hmm. They did.
So why don't you look through the trolling's message? Correct? That's the where we're conversing.
Same energy.
Yeah, I'm just saying to be consistent.
To be consistent.
The conversation. I'm always, you know how I talk about the building of a conversation. You have to find a foundation of the conversation, something that you can both respect, something that you can come back to if we can agree on this, then no matter
Let's
what,
try and go here.
You know what I'm saying? Like
something to
you
build
can't
from.
exactly. Boom. And so if you begin with trolling and this is the way you want it, then if a one is posted anti it, right? What do they call them? Assist version.
Sure.
Is posted, there would be a lot of backlash. And so I mean, there's just going to be backlash no matter who posts this type of thing.
So you're just pointing out that it's kind of funny how they put this out not expecting backlash.
Yeah.
Or if they did expect backlash, why aren't they acting like it?
I don't know if we have the ability for us to put memes up and videos or whatever yet, but
I should edit a meme.
and no, there's a video that literally this Flavor of Love, one of the closer to the ending episodes when they got Pumpkin off the episode. She spits on New York.
Oh, yeah.
Turns and walks
That's
away.
Right. Yes.
And did not expect New York to grab her by the fucking head. And I just feel like, you know, if you're going to participate in this type of trolling, you just have to be okay with it. You know what I'm saying? It's the dark humor. So, I don't.
Well, that's kind of like the truth. It's like you're being satirical, but you're also being antagonistic, and it's just like you're surprised that there's resistance.
That's my point. Yeah, exactly. Like, huh? Like, okay. Like,
and they went, I would argue, a little too far.
No,
with
they
it
did.
too.
And I ain't gonna lie, that last guy looked a little like a demon.
It was with the whole passion behind singing it in that one clip. I think I know what you meant. But
and this is the San Fransisco Gay Men's Choir.
So, do you think this is excusable even though their
course.
intentions were to be satirical?
I ain't gonna lie. The same way I said they need to read the trollers, the people who are trolling them, they need to see past the trolling and see their true message. The same way we're supposed to look past this trolling and see their true message. They're not making the effort to do so. So why would the trolls make the effort to do so? So whatever point you had, if you're not able to see any point other than, you know what I'm saying, how could you expect this type of, did you think you would, like, what was the goal? To change minds? Like, there was no point. The actual point was to troll.
My one question is, was this song created in response to something, or did y'all just create this song to be trendy?
It's a response to the common excuse that everything, like, a lot of people believe that things are hidden under, oh, we don't want our children to be exposed. But a lot of anti-gender stuff is.
Yeah, go on, Doc.
Well, I'll respond to that question with, I've noticed that this is like a common occurrence. So I've said it before on the podcast that I watch a lot of YouTubers based out of California, and the way that they refer to the right wing is the same way the right wing, when I watch their shows, refers to the left. And it's not even like it's like a gang mentality. Like, it's just like, oh, them over there, like them over there. It's not even like a moment of understanding, especially like the people in California. Like, I feel they're so ingrained within their blue culture that they're just completely against like all red stuff. And the reason why I started noticing this is because you have a lot of people from California moving to Texas. And so like you start watching like the interactions that happen, because Texas is a pretty red state. And all of a sudden, like I would just hear like, oh, another one, we lost another one in Texas. Like, well, guess he defected. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, like, is it really like that? Like, it's just you're on left side or your right side? Like, okay. And they were like, yeah, well, hopefully he'll move out of Texas to California and, you know, get on that avocado diet and stuff like that. And I was just like, it's getting to a point where like they're getting so ingrained and they're driving the line in the sand deeper and deeper that we're getting stuff like this. So I can completely accept this as a direct troll and not being
malicious or
malicious, yeah.
well, not being malicious, but I can see it as being antagonistic
okay.
and not being provoked in any way. This just probably came up because they thought it was funny and they felt like because they're in San Francisco, because they're in the heart of blue culture, that they can do it without any kind of repercussion. But, you know, the internet's huge, so the internet's going to lash out, I think.
In any of
Oh,
the,
it did, yeah.
In any of the
That's just so
old Disney
ignorant,
movies,
though.
in any of the old, it is. You're right. In any of the old Disney movies we used to watch, y'all remember the bully, right? Somewhere during the movie, the bully would end up losing to the main character or being embarrassed or whatever it may be.
Karate Kid.
And then everybody would get their licks in on the bully.
Finally, it's our time to
It's our time to, and so,
get him while he's weak.
yeah, and so because the I don't know if it's disrespectful to say, but the alphabet community has felt so oppressed. The spotlight now being on, you know, trying to be more tolerant and fair of what's going on in their community is now emboldened people that to go further than they normally would. So like the line of comfortability has kind of been pushed. So like whereas this would have been seen as malicious 3-4 years ago, the way that the current world is, or the way that they're trying to push society, not them per se, but people in general are pushing society.
So are you trying to say that we as a society have gotten more tolerant?
Yeah, because when you become more tolerant of anything, the extremes become more, like, no matter what.
But that's the point you're trying to say.
More tolerable.
So I'm just trying to point out that we have gotten tolerant. The only issue now is how tolerant do you want us to be? I feel like tolerance only goes in such a way, like like you said, they're pushing things.
And that's where we're
Well,
experimenting.
that's the key issue.
The gray area right now that we're experimenting with. Like, for example, like I said with the Wii Spa thing, there should never be a time. I mean, the businesses would. There's no way corporations looked at that and were happy, because it was a lose-lose for Wii Spa.
And there was then eventually a protest, I think, which ended up leading to a riot.
And both sides protested.
Yeah.
So like, there's a lose-lose for the spa.
Confrontation happened, which is why they called it a riot then.
And you saw the Antifa guys or whatever, but it was for, you know what I'm saying? So business runs America. I'm sure right now, currently, lobbying is being done to facilitate some type of stance that a business can have, or some type of code of ethics regarding gender, or something that can.
We're making something complicated again.
Business will make sure there's a way that they can assume less liability for stuff like this. And with that, whatever that solution is.
The other thing too, though, like, you have to keep in mind that, like, I feel that a lot of these people, instead of taking the high road, are substituting it for spite.
Exactly. You finally get to kick the bully.
And I think it's creating content like this.
100%. 100%. But then, like, you know what I'm saying? The deeper, the more tolerant you get. Now, I don't want to use the word tolerant, but the more comfortable something gets, like, the more, even with people, when you meet them, the more comfortable you get with them. If you're not comfortable, you may not see their extremes. But the more comfortable you get when you're dating, whatever it is, you don't know the person's crazy till y'all dating for real and all that stuff. So it comes with it. It just comes with getting comfortable with things. And so right now we're in a gray area where we just don't know. And so my only opinion about stuff like this, I've never had any. I don't need to say all of that spiel stuff that everybody else says about whatever. But you can't have vague laws or social constructs. It can't be vague. It can't be too vague, because with that vagueness, there's going to be, if it's vague, you can't set decorum. If there's vague, it's hard to
set a standard.
Set a standard or any type of etiquette. There's etiquette with everything and how we interact with each other. And so even like when you're talking about even just speech, where they have informal and formal, you know what I'm saying? There's reasons for that. And so it's because of comfortability. The word is comfortability. If there's somebody you're comfortable with, you're informal. If there's somebody you're not, It's formal. So we just have to engage that and find a place where people can be more comfortable. I think, like Doc said, third restrooms or whatever it is to accommodate, but kind of going against reality at a certain point, and we have to kind of just...
No, because the problem is because to sticking to that example of a third bathroom, the reason why this is complicated because if you do end up creating a third bathroom, then a percentage of that community is gonna say, "What are you trying to say? We're not
different."
women, or
Exactly.
we're not men? Like we're not different. We're
And
all
so
this."
that's what I'm saying. So then, for example, if you talk about
There's not a solution.
If we talk about Black Lives Matter, right? The problem a lot of people had with Black Lives Matter was there wasn't a clear message at one point to what they wanted. You know what I'm saying? So now that we've had this situation happen, that we
Are you talking about Black Lives Matter the movement or Black Lives Matter the organization?
The organization.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so...
'Cause I try to differentiate them. I really do.
I understand. I do understand. And so now there has to be a conversation. What are you guys? We need one clear, not as in gender, but how do you view yourselves? Is it that you are trans people? Because if that's the case, then based off of what we're currently, like the vague kind of rules about it now, we shouldn't even be using the word trans. You know what I'm saying? It would just be boy and girl still. Or he, she, they, or, you know what I'm saying, whatever other thing it is. But the thing would be, like, if you transitioned or whatever, you wouldn't need to be trans girl.
You wouldn't want them to call you a trans woman.
You just
want
want to
them
be
to call
girl.
woman or girl.
Exactly. And so there has to be some type of, like I said, on the foundation level of we can agree on maybe little girls shouldn't see men's genitals. If we can agree on that, we know we have to find a solution that doesn't end there. And so that has to be a conversation. But both sides have to be willing to, one side has to be willing to say, okay, our bad. Or not our bad, but that's not right.
Yeah, you're right.
We have to be accountable within our own communities. So it's like the same way, like when a cop kills a black person or whatever and you see everybody marching, it's the same way when black on black killing happens, black on black crime happens, which is just regular crime. But you'll see the mom say, we have to stop this. You'll see the pastor, you'll see them appeal to their community.
But you're not protesting the same change.
Exactly. So within every community, it's a double-sided effort. It's a double-fronted effort, whereas you have to internally always be holding yourselves accountable so that way you can grow. And then externally, you're fighting for whatever liberty or thing you feel like you're working against. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so right now, because the community, I guess, felt oppressed for so long, they're just having that one push of that front, whereas they're just holding everybody else accountable for the oppression and the things that have happened. But there has to be an internal push for accountability, because that internal push for accountability will give them credence. It will make their movement more respected by other movements, where it's like they have their limits. Like there's logic there. I'll come to the table to talk with A or B because I know within themselves boom, that's not right. You know what I'm saying? Like it should.
That's what they used to do, man. Malcolm X and that's what
You
they
know
did.
what
They came and sat down to have conversations.
Let me raise a question to y'all. Do you guys think that the coming generation will be so fed up with the ambiguity that they'll be extremely structured?
Yeah, I forgot who I was watching. They made the joke that the next generation is going to be super fascist.
Yeah, it's Abin Preach. I heard that same joke, and I remember I started laughing, and I was just like, I kind of laughed, and at the end of it, I was like, oh shit, they might be right. Because I've literally seen my nephews like look at things on television, and I can see the cogs, and he's so confused, and then he'll ask me like, is that a girl, and stuff like that, and I'll be like, honestly, I don't know, man. and you can see it in his mind. He's like, how do you not know? Like, You know what I mean? Like, and I kind of have to explain to him, like, you know, the social contracts and everything that's happening right now and stuff like that. And so it makes me wonder, like, if when they get older, they'll just be like, I'm so sick of this that I'm just going to create structure. And they will completely flip the role of, like, where we're at right now and just kind of bring in, like Kevin preached when he was just like, man, we're all going to be fascists and these freaking kids growing up.
And do you know that the evolution of language is gonna be crazy because we're constantly gonna be coming up with new terms and new ways to question things to try and pinpoint the actual answer. So whereas we might accept, okay, you're just a girl. If you say you transition to a girl or a boy, you're just a girl, you're just a boy. Okay. They're gonna find a question that did your parents, they might put it like, if it was a questionnaire, did your parents know you were the gender you are when you were 1? Something random. You know what I'm saying? That if you answer it factually, would differentiate between a natural or whatever you believe born person and the other gender. I'm just saying we're going to get so smug and so petty. It's just going to be a stacking of pettiness. But we all know what the fuck is going on. So why are we pretending? Have the conversation. Hold yourselves accountable.
Well, I wonder how their experiences are going to be too, because if it's a lot more acceptable, and they're publicly shamed for messing up like pronouns and stuff like that, like it's gonna be difficult for everyone to kind of traverse.
That's right.
Like you said, like the use of language is going to be super, super intense, intensely like watched from both parties, because somebody wants to be identified a particular way, another person maybe doesn't want to tiptoe or say the wrong thing, and then you're gonna have people who are like, I'm just so freaking annoyed with this, I don't care, I'm just gonna say what I want. And it already happens in adults, so you can imagine when they're like learning all aspects of life at the same time that they're learning this, it'll probably be a little bit more volatile.
Boy. What class was it? Health is going to be such a complicated class for them. I remember, I think
it's
our
already
health class
proven
was
to be
the
a little bit of
shortest
a
class.
topic we didn't get to talk about because I don't know if we should. But yeah, the health discussion now is a little more complicated because they were talking about masturbation, and it's like, do I really want my kid to know about masturbation at that age? And the other issue is we learned like sex ed in 5th grade.
Yeah.
I think the video they showed them was first graders.
Oh,
they're getting younger and younger, and it's kind of
I
don't know how I feel about that.
I think that's okay though, like learning biological functions and stuff like that. Like that makes sense. Like, hey, you're gonna want to masturbate. Like, hey, like when you feel like this feeling, this is gonna happen. Both parties.
First grade.
And also, like to me, first
grade.
grade's too young, but like 5th grade, like
that's why 5th grade makes sense.
That makes more sense
because you're about to be teenagers. You're going from 5th grade to middle school, and then 1 year later, you're a teenager. You're 13 years old. You know, I'm not gonna lie to you.
I think it's okay too, though. Like,
so hormones hit me. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Middle school, I went crazy. God forgive me.
But it makes so much more sense when you tell people like, hey, also the girls that like you watch television that shows you that they're all princesses and stuff like that, they get horny too, man. Like,
well, I'm not denying
you're still
that.
A human and stuff like that, and so it feels a lot better to hear that, to understand that like both parties have sexual libidos, and it kind of takes away I think it takes away the traditional roles just enough to where it humanizes both parties and it's easier to interact. The hard part, I think, is going to be...
I feel like you added a whole new dynamic.
But I think what we're going to have to accept...
Or expose them to a whole new dynamic.
It's not even the middle ground. I think the tough thing to accept is that what used to... Being a child, what it used to represent, is no longer the same thing. Children now have more responsibilities than they used to.
Because we want them to understand so much younger. That's my thing. Like, yeah, I understand they probably should, but you have to understand first grade, like even 5th grade, like the simple, even then in 1st grade, the simple message they wanted to show us was, this is intercourse. This is how babies are made. It it can be good, but like responsibility. Wait. That's what I remember, at least. That's what I got from it. Some of us lived up to it and some of us didn't. And
I'll tell Noel you said that.
No, I was jabbing everyone. I was in a hole. Screw you, trying to say Noel. That's messed up. That was a low blow. And it's just the concept was simple. Now you're at a younger age and you're trying to add another concept, which is masturbation. Like, I don't know, man. It's just sometimes some kids need, like, I'll stick to the simple
I mean,
phrase.
they're
Kids
already
let
doing
kids
it,
be
man.
kids.
They hit like 5th grade and someone touches something weird and they go like, "What's that?" And then they keep touching and all of a sudden like weird shit happens. So it I think helps for them to
There's gonna
have
be
context
influence, I
of
get
situations
that,
like that. The thing that I think is going to be the weird influence is going to be like, also there's a third gender, and they're like, what? Like that's a whole other factor that's going to change the entire algorithm, dude. Or like
Talk about that. So what if I'm in
Let him
4th
finish.
grade?
Let him finish.
Go for it.
Well, I say that not because like those people's choices are wrong and stuff like that. It's just that that new factor is going to change the way we grew up. Like they're growing up completely differently than we grew up. You know what I mean? Because we were on like a 2-system factor, and we kind of could feel who was leaning towards like transgender and stuff like that. But like it wasn't ever like a social structure that we were like, okay, cool, this is something that like we have to focus on. But now it is something that we need to focus on so that we can, have the whole inclusivity and stuff like that. And I think that's going to mix them up because it's so new and it's such foreign territory for also the parents and stuff like that, that I think it's going to create like a weird system, and there might be a lot of kids that reject it just outright because it's not, like you said, Gene, it's not simple.
And thinking about being a parent during this age, like not only the kids going through this, think about having to deal with it as a parent in this.
If
That's
I'm
what
in
another
4th
thing. Like, we
grade-
got to make it easier for parents to be parents also.
If I'm in 4th grade and I learn about 3 genders, and I go to 5th grade and I got a brother in the 4th grade, now he learned about 4 genders. Like, are we gonna how? Okay, and put it like this: how often do we actually update other history or other information within the schools? Because, not to pin anything against each other, but even if you talk about Native American history, African American history, Asian American history, all of these other new information we find out all the time. Those things are progressing. There are more nuances that are more important based on society now and how society is now. That should be highlighted. That versus
that entire sentiment simplified to the fact that America was first found by the Vikings.
Exactly.
It wasn't Christopher Columbus didn't find America.
Exactly. So now, if we're talking about updating information, which would technically, if you boil it down, we're talking about health and gender studies.
You're saying the biggest issue right now is the fact that we haven't had a period of time where we just, all right, let's update our information.
Yes.
Or at least do a audit
on info. And then if we're going to do it, let's do an
audit, mind you.
Clean one. Like, not like for everything. Because then the people really just start to bump heads when it's like, damn, you taking care of this before this?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can always point at something else that needs to be fixed. And so it just falls on where your priorities lie. And so if that's the case, if we're going to update the health class all the time, let's update everything else too. If not, then maybe it should be a progressive thing, like it happens slowly but surely at an older age. You know what I'm saying? Like, introduce basic concepts at a younger age and then the more complex ones as they get older. But, I mean, that's just my opinion. My opinion don't mean shit.
No, I think that makes total sense, though, man, because I feel like the third gender shouldn't be introduced until, like, maybe around high school when people who are going to transition start thinking about it seriously. I would hope then think about it seriously, because I feel like going transgender before 18 or 19, it's a rough trip.
Well, then, but then another issue is, look at the percentage of the transgenders in America. What if you don't have transgenders in your area? Do you still have a third, bathroom?
I mean, you still learn about it. Oh, you mean the facility to...
Yeah, I'm talking about specifically, like, do you then fund a third bathroom if your target area doesn't have a transgender community,
I think, honestly speaking, yeah, you should. And the reason I say that is just, like I say, I believe government is supposed to be the janitors of America. Roads, facilities, you know what I'm saying, keep them up to date. Books in the schools, keep them up to date. That's it. And so, if you have to just make a third restroom, regardless, because you don't want to, rebuild one restroom if a trans anything moves in.
So that would make sense then for public schools.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And so, like, But if it's an all-girl school,
But then if you go to the private schools, then now, and if like, do they get issues now?
100%.
And what if they get one transgender person? Do they then have to spend the amount of money it'll cost? And I don't know if that's fucked up or not.
Mhm.
Like,
They probably wouldn't do it. I mean, most private schools,
that's a
they
lot
have
of
their
money
own
to
rules.
renovate a
and-
bathroom.
Well, the private schools set the rules, and so if the parents, when they show up and they're like, "Hey, I want to buy in," they go, "Okay, well, these are our rules. You're paying us. If you don't, especially if it's like renowned, that like you're paying them to go, so they can charge whatever they want, and they can say, well, we don't have a transgender room, and if you're a transgender parent, you really can't complain because you have a free option and you can take it, and that, just like any business, they can refuse service.
But
But that would be discriminatory.
Well, one thing I feel like, well, that it would be discriminatory, which is why you then would
You
sue
have a
and
suit,
they'll
yeah.
have a case. 'Cause that is
Yeah.
discrimination.
And then they'd have a wing of your school.
So
I
at
wonder,
one-
how that would fly then, because that's true. It would be discriminatory. It's just, I wonder
it's
how
tricky,
that
is
would
what
go.
it is.
Yeah,
No,
it is tricky.
So literally, if you look at it like this, you build a school, you avoid a lawsuit. Which one balances you? Every school pays insurance.
So far, the way the trend is, you avoid a lawsuit.
So
They've been super accommodating.
then do that. You have to do. 'Cause
But
the
then we get
lawsuit is more
situations like
expensive.
we Spa, where is we haven't reached an established norm of comfortability with each other when it comes to that community, and I guess where the trans was
Boom.
comfortable,
So how
and
about
it was
you-
and it was an issue.
So-
and did you watch the other clip I sent afterwards?
Yeah,
Apparently,
I saw it.
the
Yeah, yeah.
woman,
I feel like
the
it's-
mother of the
it's
child who
really-
was exposed,
So
she was traumatized.
the
from
problem
that.
I think
and
is-
she's actually a supporter of them.
So the problem I think is naming it the
She said she's
restroom. The
traumatized.
restroom, instead of it being a his her, the restroom would be it would just say gender fluid. And so boys and cis males and cisgendered females could also use the restroom. And so if you just have the facility like that, then you know what I'm saying? Just build, because like I said, all businesses, they pay insurances, they pay liability insurance and all that type of stuff. It's cheaper to not get sued than it is to build a restroom. Just do it.
I mean, anything's always cheaper than.
But then
fucking
now the
lawsuits.
question though boils down to integrating that type of thing, the trickle down effect into society. So a mom and pop shop, will we require the mom and pop shop to now have a third restroom? Could they not? What if they can't afford to actually do those facilities? Does that burden now fall on the business park or the owners of the suites to now come back in and retrofit third restrooms? So now you're talking about affecting small businesses, which is the backbone of America. So you just have to see how far it goes, and you know what I'm saying? But
Well, it's also difficult because you have to understand that, like, at the end of the day, the trans, well, I guess they call it the transition, is a personal choice. And there's a lot of arguments saying that, like, it's a mental, like, they mentally are set this way, and so they don't have another option but to complete transition, to be comfortable in their own body. It's just that, like, you do very much have a lot of agency in it when you, like, decide to go through the surgeries and go through the motion in it. I think that is where the laws get murky, because you have discrimination laws against a certain amount of people, but those people very much make decisions to become that type of person. Whereas if you're black, you were born black. You didn't along the way make a decision to become black and then be discriminated for the way you were born. And that gets iffy. And then what about transracial people?
Mhm.
Like, they're on the uprise
conversation
now.
has to
We've
keep
got
going.
two. And so, like, they themselves can also play the same card of being a different person that they were born into. And then they can also play the discrimination card depending on what race they decide to transition into. And it gets really confusing for somebody who's running an establishment to be like, oh, crap, like, I have to fight from all angles now against all this stuff. And it's harder and harder to not sue them and stuff like that. So it's almost scarier to open up a business because you might get sued from all angles for something that you didn't even think was discriminatory.
I'll say this too. It seems like every group is picking the stereotypical opposition, I guess the stereotypical villain for their group to attack. So it's like, for If I'm black, I automatically hate like
The
a
white man.
white cop. If I'm gay, I automatically hate conservatives. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it just seems like everybody's picking easy targets. Like, we're not saying these dynamics don't exist, but it seems like everybody's kind of just picking the easier targets instead of picking
The obvious target.
Like,
yeah.
for example, they would make this video for, like they said, it's at conservatives. But what if the mom from We Spa is watching this, and she's a registered Democrat who also participates in pride parades? And, you know what I'm saying, she's amongst their supporters. So she felt incensed by what happened. This video would probably incense her. But it's not just conservatives that you're sending this video to. You get what I'm saying? But you're just saying,
You upload to the
this
internet,
is
the whole world seeing it, or at the very least, the entirety
boom.
of America
But
seeing
you're
it.
saying, it's just for those. And that's just not real.
It's not honest.
But yeah, just a long ass episode. So let's.
We kind of went on a long ass
Yeah, it's
rant
because
on this particular topic.
it's a really murky topic because it's new territory, man. Like, it's new waters. We haven't explored this stuff, and we're just barely starting to explore it.
We're barely talking about it. That's the thing. Like, we haven't been
Yeah.
able to fully have the like you've said before several times, the conversation. We're not having the conversation
At all.
I feel like the
we
people
have
at
we
the
have to have the
Weespa
conversation
stuff,
now.
they're finally seeing
We're
like,
scared because the
this is
language
like
doesn't exist.
the Weespa stuff's like, like this is actually the environment we're creating, and now we're actually seeing like the boundaries or the borders of it, and the repercussions really also of the environments that we're creating. I mean, conservatives do the same thing too. Like, whenever they experience like a mass shooting and stuff like that, it's just like, oh, okay, now we're seeing the repercussions of certain gun laws and stuff like that, and it gets all crazy. I think though that, to Gene's point, I feel like we're currently going through that auditing where we're just like, oh shit, like Corona made us all sit down, made us all look at ourselves, and now we're currently going through that auditing process of cutting out parts of history. I mean, you can see it even in the country when we were burning down certain statues or taking them down to be like, that's what this represents, and another group was like, no, we should definitely take it down, but put it in a museum so that we don't forget about it. It's
part of our history.
So that we understand, like, we're not going back to that and stuff like that.
Gotta remember the dark days so we don't ever exactly go back to that. Exactly.
And so I definitely do think that this is the auditing moment that our country is experiencing.
I'm trying to pick the auditors. Everybody wants.
I guess that's the issue. Everyone. Like,
that's the hard part.
Yeah,
bro.
That's a good way to end it on. All right, y'all. I think that's enough fake deep thinking for today. Make sure you go to Facebook page, Fake Deep Thinking, Twitter page, Podcast FDT. Go to our YouTube page, leave a like, comment, subscribe.
Just like Ethan did.
Appreciate you, Ethan. And I'm gonna work on that freaking bell. And I'm gonna go work on the creating a Discord. See y'all next time on Fake Deep Thinking, y'all. Peace.
Bye, baby.
Peace.